strapped in tight with the steering wheel glow. Engines roar as the tension starts to grow. All the racers lined up feeling the heat. The Matt Malone League is where legends meet. Push the pedal, let the tires scream, chasing glory in the fast lane dream. One wrong move could shatter the fight, but we're speeding through the Patreon night. Heartbeats echo in the revving sound. Each corner sharp, where champions are found. Dust flies high as rivals clash and spin. The path to the podium's where it all begins. Push the pedal, let the tires scream, chasing glory in the fast lane dream. One wrong move could shatter the fight, but we're speeding through the Patreon night. No shortcuts here, just burning track. One chance forward, there's no turning back. Every racer's name carved into the grind, a community fueled by a passionate mind. Night lights sparkle on the asphalt maze. Through every twist, a fiery blaze. The crowd's electric, their pulses ignite. Matt Malone's turf lights up the night. Push the pedal, let the tires scream, chasing glory in the fast lane dream. One wrong move could shatter the fight, but we're speeding through the Patreon night.
It's another Saturday and another Matt Malone Patron League event as we head into round 3 of the inaugural season at the virtual Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. 2 large fields of drivers have headed out to start this season off with a bang, and another large grid is expected in the radical SR8s that are heading onto track on the iRacing service in about 15 minutes time. The drivers will have 20 minutes of open qualifying to fight it out for pole position on the virtual tarmac, with a pole for Slugger at Okayama and Richard Dempsey at Laguna Seca. Who knows who will end up on top at the end of the qualifying session today. But before we get started with the race this week, let's cast our memories back to Laguna Seca and remind ourselves how the race in the heat turned out. Welcome back to the Matt Malone Patron League as we head into the second round at the virtual WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca in the States. Richard Dempsey then will come into pit lane. He will be the man to start the race on pole position. And we're green, we are away here for the 20-minute race at Laguna Seca. A lot of beating and banging. There are lots of front bumpers that are gone. As around goes Matty Gwill on the opening lap from the lead of the race. Matty Gwill is off as we just jumped towards him. And that means Alatufu now leads ahead of Richard Dempsey. And he is back out onto the circuit. This is Milk Junker. He's looking to the inside of Drux TV. Can Malone do it? He's side by side. 4P8 is a drag race. It's a drag race behind as well. Are they going to be able to do it? And Malone easily with the overlap there. It looks like Drux TV just backing out, trying possibly to go to the switchback. About half a second ahead. Oh, as the Tufu goes off it looks like again, but he's running on the gravel. He's going to have to try and find a safe way through. Everyone giving him just enough space. Some battling going on, a lot of gravel, and that's into the White Husky pushing Bob's Jelly off the circuit. Mecharm gets on the left-hand side. Bob's Jelly gets back onto track. Bob's Jelly is through up into 14th. Minty the White Husky and Scrubbatron side by side. Scrubbatron was the driver who got forced off, I believe. Am I right? No, it was Bob's Jelly who got forced off. It looks like he wobbles. My timing screen really playing havoc on me. That's a Krispy Kreme driver. It's another lovely food out on the track. Some changes, and here goes Nick Bowen on the outside. Is he going to be able to make the move here on Tony Jabroni? He goes a little bit deep, has to slow down just enough. Mirror, you've just got a huge amount of cars as this looks like it's side by side ahead of Matt Malone, Tony Jabroni and Nick Bowen. There's contact, but it is going to be Jabroni around the outside, and Malone is going to try and make it 3 wide. No, it settles into 2 wide. Malone settles down into 7th. Nick Bowen down to 8th as he has been overtaken by Aula Tupu whilst we watch that battle going on. No, checkers. Was that contact? Was that a mistake? What has happened there? That is a real shame. He is recovering. He's in 6th position. He's got Tony Jabroni around the outside. He is going to try and hold on to 5th position up the inside. Look towards the inside, possibly slightly different racing lines. It looks like Malone's got the speed because that is slightly wide there ahead of him from Tony Jabroni. Around the outside goes Matt Malone. He's tried to do the switchback, but a great line from Tony Jabroni. About 13 laps in this race. We'll see how that goes. Matt Malone slowing down. As you know, he's going around the outside. Sorry, there he's going around the outside as he's got a nice run on the exit of turn number 2 there. 3-3, he's had to settle back in again, just teasing the gravel ever so slightly as Showtime once again towing to the pits. His day goes from bad to worse to the absolutely unforgettable as Malone tries to the inside of the corkscrew. Off track goes Jabroni, and Matt Malone goes through as well. I think that is going to be a slowdown for Jabroni, surely going there. Right hand side, swaps back to the left and ducks up the inside. There's contact. The slugger's wobbling and he's spun. There's more contact. Head through. Goes totally racing with Checkers in front of him. 2 different racing lines here. Off goes Checkers once more. Is Matt Malone going to try and switch back again here? He brakes a lot earlier than he did last time. He goes for the run on the exit. He's going to have to go to the outside because Checkers defends the inside line. It looks like he might, but this is still a good opportunity. No, he goes defensive because because Checkers has dropped behind. Matt Malone up into a top 5 position, both running extremely smoothly, but Latufu straight away dives to the inside of Totally Racing. They're side by side. They're going to stay side by side as they come up towards turn number 10. Totally Racing holds the position, but he slides. There's a bit of a wobble. There's contact with Latufu. Latufu now on the inside into the final turn. And he is going to hold on to P number 2. He goes, moves to the right-hand side of Slugger. And contact from behind Checkers, hitting Matt Malone as Richard Dempsey wins the race. Aulatufu is going to get P2. Who is going to get P3? It looks like Checkers has got it, but Slugger's got a great run out of the final turn. But Checkers takes P3 in this race. The Matt Malone Patron League continues here at Motorsport, the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, full of patriots to Matt Malone. Subscribe to his Patreon today and you can be on the virtual tarmac with all of our drivers this time next week. A mixed bag of drivers once again heading to the track today with years of experiences and high rating to those who have recently jumped onto the service for the first time. But the wide spread of skill level is not the only way this league is interesting, of course. We don't just travel to different circuits each week, our drivers have to get used to a brand new vehicle each week as well. Matt Malone pulled off a last lap move for a win in the GT4s 2 weeks ago at Okayama. Richard Dempsey showed a masterclass of driving and dominated the field at Laguna Seca last week in the Toyota GR86s. The radical SR8s today and the first open-top sports car that we're jumping into this season. May is almost over, but how are we going to end this month off with a bang? Well, after our radicals this week, we are back south into the States next Saturday in the Porsche Cup cars. I've just purchased the Porsche and I'm looking at putting in a few laps before next week to see if it's really as difficult as Malone makes it seem. The Virtual Road Atlanta will host that 20-minute race next week. A fast, flowing and technical circuit is sure to create some great battles. And to finish May off, on the 31st, we're heading to Road America in my favourite prototype, the Ligier P3s. The quickest track of the month, the quickest car of the month. Will it be the quickest driver to win? Or will the shenanigans prevail and a surprise winner come out on top? But enough about the rest of the month, let's turn back to today. The radical SR8s at Motorsport. So many flowing corners around the lap with a lengthy back straight to relax on for the drivers. I think we're going to see some drivers qualify lower than their true speed here. Small mistakes have a lasting impact on your lap time around such a quick track. But that should mean we're going to see some great battles as drivers move their way on up the field to get back into their true spots. A 2.4 mile circuit actually makes it the longest track we have visited this year by just a few meters. Located in Ontario, Canada, the circuit opened in 1961, 1 year after construction began. And in the 63 years of history, the circuit has hosted Formula 1, NASCAR, and IMSA, to name but a few. Now its virtual counterpart will host the Matt Malone Patreon League, arguably more prestigious than any event it has ever hosted before. So after 2 rounds, I think it's a good time to look at how the league standings line up. And it is Matt Malone out on top with 41 points. The win at Okayama a couple of weeks ago, of course, a top 5 finish, solidifying his position at the top of the standings at Laguna Seca last week. But he's not safe, not at all. It's only a few points ahead of Aulatufu and Slugger, who are tied for P2 on 38 points. 3 points separate the top 3 drivers. It is then a little bit of a gap down to Nick Bowen. He holds on to P4 in the championship with 30 points ahead of Checkers in 5th with 28 points. It's Richard Dempsey in P6. Of course, he has only taken part at Laguna Seca so far this season. And with that, he took the win and the full 25 points. Behind him in the standings is Diabetes Wolf. That's P7, 22 points. And another little bit of a gap down to tied 8th position Tony Jabroni and Apex Minion on 18 points. It then becomes extremely close on points all the way down the field. Stingray Graham sits in 10th. He's got 17 points. Sean Sims on 16 points. Tied in 12th is Iron Tequila and Totally Racing on 15 points apiece. Vox Live sits in 14th with 13 points. Matty Guil sits in 15th with 12 points, which is not reflective of his true race speed at all. An average start for Matty Guil is 3rd position. His average finish is 20th. We saw in that highlight video from Laguna Seca last week, Matty Guil was leading the race on the opening lap, taking a really good launch, getting ahead of Richard Dempsey, but then spinning the car off and down the order. He drove back well. He recovered well in the race, finishing inside the top 10, if I remember correctly. But it just hasn't had that strong result yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what Matty Guil is going to be able to do as the season progresses. Behind him in the standings is a 3-way tie for 16th position. Turbo Snail, Wyatt Way and Drux TV tied on 11 points apiece in 16th. The Hernster is in 19th position with 9 points, tied with Corey Otis.
And it is Scrubberton in 19th position on 9 points. Yeah, because he's also tied. Now that I look at my standings properly, it's a three-way tie for 19th as well between those three drivers. 22nd position is for Mech Armies with 8 points. Powski with 7 points. Quigley behind there. Brandon Quigley in 24th position with 4 points. Tied in 25th is Robert Goddard and Casket Man on 3 points each. And Eric Yeagle sitting with 2 points. And Bob's Jelly with 1. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I do not believe we will be seeing Eric Yeagle out on track today. And I'm pretty sure about half an hour ago, I was watching a live stream in which he was behind the wheel of a real race car, driving around. I can't remember what circuit it was, but I'm certain that I saw Eric Yeagle's name in that car, so I don't think he'll be joining us here at Motorsport. Unless he's got a rig in the passenger seat of his racing car, I don't think we'll be seeing him out on track. So, can anyone knock Matt Malone off his pedestal at the top of the standings today? Owler, Tufu and Slegger certainly seem like they're going to be ready to be sitting pretty above the rest of the field, just 3 points behind. In fact, in my true professional interviewing mode, I messaged Slugger in Matt Malone's chat, and I asked him, are you going to go for the top of the standings? He said, of course, he's going to try. Whether he's going to get there is another thing, but he is certainly going to try. He has never driven the SR8s before, so it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. The server opens in the next couple of minutes, so drivers preparing themselves. Some may currently be in a practice session, throwing that radical around Motorsport, trying to give it a go. I didn't own Motorsport before yesterday, so I've never actually driven around Motorsport in iRacing before. The only game simulator, that I've ever driven Motorsport in would be R-Factor 2, and I don't think that is at all a comparison. So I think tomorrow I'll definitely be heading down onto the track, running around possibly a Porsche. I want to give that Porsche a go. Might go down and see how I get on around. Quite, like I say, it's a very flowing track, and it's a very fun track as well when you get it right. And that's qualifying session. It's open qualifying, which means you're going to have to be really careful about drivers in getting in your way, ruining your laps. But just the smallest of mistakes, slightly wide on one corner, can slow you down for a whole chain of corners. You get turn 1 wrong, that's your setup to turn 2 incorrect, which then ruins your setup for turn 3, which means you have to then settle yourself down for 4 into the 555 corner of Moss Corner, the 5A, 5B, into the exit of 5C. That whole, half a lap could be ruined by just a mistake at turn 1. And the same with going into turn 8 after the Mario Andretti straightaway into the S's, just a little bit wide, and you could go... I don't know, you could really ruin the end of your lap there and lose any time that you might have found in the first section. So it is going to be interesting to see how the drivers feel in these cars. For a lot of drivers, it's a car that they wouldn't have got into either at all before or at all recently, because the SR8s aren't exactly a very popular car. But they're certainly not a popular car higher up on the service. They're more of an entry-level car. They are the Radical SR8 itself is free content, so it is a car that you drive more down in rookie levels. So it is going to be interesting to see who actually, is able to pull themselves up the order here today. Is it going to be someone who has recently driven the SR8s and therefore a lower iRacing driver, taking advantage of their understanding of the car? Or is it going to be somebody who is just able to adapt quickly to any car? And obviously, talking to a lot of people, Matt Malone is definitely a driver who can adapt to lots of different cars quite easily. And I think that partly that is because he does drive on iRacing almost every day, all day. So he has a good opportunity to practice jumping between cars. It looks like the session is available for me to jump into, which is fantastic. I'm going to get that all sorted and hopefully everything is working this week. I had a little play around with my overlay at 8 o'clock this morning before I headed off to London to try and fix some of the bugs that were plaguing the overlay system. And I think that the biggest bug with the timing on the rotating part with the bottom 4 drivers, I think it is. I believe I finally fixed that. And we have a few new bits which I can't wait to show you, which is fantastic. A lovely circuit then, like I say, it is just over 2 miles, just under 2.5 miles. And it is the longest circuit that we have gone to this season, but all of them have been between 2 and 2.5 miles. It has been an incredibly consistent, the length of the racetracks that we've been visiting. I'm looking forward to the season as a whole. As I always am coming into these events, these are absolutely fantastic. And if you enjoy watching these broadcasts of these races, then please do consider hitting that follow button to be notified when I go live, and to support me further so that I'm able to continue buying the content that I need to broadcast the league. Please consider subscribing here on Twitch, and of course subscribe to the YouTube where the videos are posted afterwards as well. They're shared in Matt Malone's Discord, so you don't have to go hunting for them. You can hear the background noise. You know what we've got. We've got qualifying here at Motorsport. And we've got the correct screen this week. We've not got the... Oh my word, listen to the engine roar. Absolutely fantastic. We have got the correct screen this week, which is fantastic though. No issues with that as we are riding on board with Showtime. As my overlays aren't working instead this week. Excellent stuff. Right, I reload my Atvo editor very quickly. You didn't see anything. You saw nothing. Everything is working perfectly. We're riding on board Showtime as we head into turn number 1. Lots of cars streaming out the garage. Of course, this is not practice. This is qualifying. And I'm sure Showtime's not going to be happy with the 2 cars that are blocking his way. He is on a hot lap. And he is having to try and contend his way through these drivers now. There we go. Everything now seems to be working, and I have to get everything back up again. But he is being held up severely by these drivers around. But this is what open qualifying is. Of course, you'd hope that the driver in front of you would move out the way, let you through. At the end of the day, you're not... I'll move that out your way. At the end of the day, you're not competing for a lap time at that point. But sometimes you have to put up with things that happen. And for Showtime, his lap was severely hindered there, but he's coming through the S's now into turn 9. Another car in front of him. Don't think that's going to hurt the end of his lap here. Through the final corner, or is it? The driver ahead goes off. He comes across the line. And across the line goes Showtime into second position. 0.6 of a second off of Drux TV. Listen to the engines roar. My word, these are the loudest machines that I have heard so far in iRacing. My volume is set to the same volume it always is, and it is fantastic. Malone is muted, so you're here to entertain. Qualifying is 5 minutes in, and at the moment, it is Matty Quill up on top. And what I do notice is in my preparation, in my run back from London, I have not started trading paints. So let's get that started. We need some paints. Where's my mouse gone? Oh my word, everything is professional over here. I've actually lost my mouse. Where's my mouse? There it is. Go away. We will get the paints loaded in. This is what happens when I'm not sat in front of my computer for 10 hours before a broadcast. I break everything. Showtime has gone on top after being slowed down on his first flying lap by those drivers coming out of the pit lane. Showtime has placed himself on top, beaten now by Matty Guil. About half a second between them. Slugger goes into P2 now. It's Matt Malone out on track in the number 7 machine. He goes into P2 a couple of tenths of a second off of the lead. Will Matty Guil be our third different pole sitter in the first 3 races of this league? Of course, round 1 it was Slugger, round 2 it was Richard Dempsey. Who is going to be able to place themselves on top today? I cannot hear myself over the sound of the engines. It is so loud out there. It's fantastic. They're just as bad as Formula 1 engines. They're just loud. That's all they are. As drivers continue to put in some strong lap times, the top 5 are Matty Guil, Milk Drinker, Slugger and Showtime. Showtime without any points on the board this season. Matty Guil, of course, sitting in 15th position. Milk Drinker, that's Matt Malone, sits on the top of the standings, and it is Checkers who goes in to 3rd position. 8 tenths of a second behind Matty Guil, a couple of tenths behind Matt Malone. Checkers is in 5th position. He could get himself up a nice few positions in the order here. He's only 2 points off of Nick Bowen for 4th. He's 10 points off of tied second position of Aulatufu and Slugger. But looking at our timing screen, is Aulatufu racing? Yes, he is. But he seems to be fairly down the order. Aulatufu, 2nd in the standings, competing for the championship lead. Can he go faster on this lap as he crosses the line? No, he can't. Turbo Snail goes into P3. We're going to watch Aulatufu. Yes, he can. He goes 5th as my timing screen finally updates. Aulatufu, 5th position right now. Can he go any higher? He is only 0.02 of a second off of Matt Malone and 0.03 of a second off of Turbo Snail. 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th are ridiculously close as Checkers goes 0.03 of a second behind Aulatufu. We're halfway through this qualifying session. Matty Guil looks like he might have it in the bag. Drux TV has come out of absolutely nowhere. He's tied 16th in the league with only 11 points at the moment. He's sitting in 2nd and Turbo Snail in 3rd. Turbo Snail is also coming out of absolutely nowhere. Also tied in 16th position with Drux TV. So Drux TV and Turbo Snail tied in points in the championship, but all the way down the order. Is this going to be the race that they can find themselves hauled towards the top of the leaderboard? That is going to be an interesting race indeed. Right now, it's Matty Guil, followed by Showtime, followed by Drux TV, followed by Turbo Snail. Matt Malone in 5th, Aulatufu 6th, Checkers in 7th, but it's just changed because Checkers and Slugger move up the order. Checkers goes P2, Slugger goes P3, knocking Showtime down to 4th. Matt Malone re-improves to 5th, Drux TV in 6th, Extra Pickle 7th, Turbo Snail down to 8th, Aulatufu down to 9th, and Robert Goddard, who is 25th in the standings, sits in P10. Matt Malone goes back to pit lane as he normally does in the second half of qualifying, and I don't know if he will be back out. History says that he won't. This is Showtime. Can he improve? A 13.4 was his last lap. Can it go faster? 13.7 that time. Not an improvement as Matty Guil comes back out pit lane, not feeling so confident with his lead anymore because Checkers has gone 0.13 seconds behind. Very, very close indeed. This looks like a slow run for Slugger. It looks like he's gearing up for a hot lap, trying to give himself some gap to the driver in front. Let's ride on board with Slugger in P3 through turn number 1. Keeps it tight to the apex, pushes it all the way out. Switches to the right-hand side here for turn 2 through Clayton Corner. Gets to the middle of the track, tucks it back in through 2A. Nice and wide, gets to the left-hand side, going into Quebec Corner, turn number 3, running completely over the curbing, all the way up that 3D curb to the left. You can just hear him slightly clip that left-hand side. Tucks into the apex, sticking to the left-hand side here, into turn 5. Getting it on the brakes, trying not to run wide, trying not to lock up, trying not to spin. A bit of oversteer on the exit there, but he pushes through 5A and onto the 5C, sorry, and onto Mario Andretti straight away. Is he getting any slipstream from the two cars ahead? It looks like he might be getting a very distant tow, but those two drivers ahead are going to be slowing each other down. Are they going to get in Slugger's way? I don't think so. He gets into turn 8 through the S's, tucks in tight to both apexes, sticks to the right-hand side so he can dive in for turn number 9, onto the brakes, into the final turn. Is he going to come across the line? Is he going to beat his 13.2? It's a 13.3. It's not quite enough. Mecharm has improved here up into P3, so he is running nicely indeed. A few drivers at the back without any lap times, and a driver who has had, big accident there, as it looks like Wyatt Way has gone off. But Mr. Anders has been having decent races within the league so far, but both races they've ended in an absolute heartbreak for him with technical issues. Obviously, quite a lot of cars out on track can cause technical issues like that with, well, it looks like we've got 35 drivers driving tonight as we look at Turbo Snail coming through turn number 1. He sits P9, a 13.5 is his best. Of course, Matty Will's 12.8 is about 6/10 faster, almost 7/10 faster than that. Neil Trotter also coming out of the pit lane without a lap time at the moment. Will Mr. Anders get a lap time in? No, still no lap time on the board, and the 747 runs wide. If you are a driver racing in this league and you want your racing number on the left-hand side to look fancy, you can by editing your racing number for the car you're driving, and it will look nice and fancy on the left-hand side. Matty Quill chasing down Mr. Anders on track, but not on timing. He's got a 112.8 as his fastest lap. He is sitting pretty at the top, but he wants to go just a little bit faster to try and settle himself more comfortably into that pole position. 5 minutes left. It looks like he's going slow on this lap, letting drivers through. Slugger is just going through now. I think that was exit of turn 1. No, it was the exit of turn 3. And up towards turn 5 here, as he allowed that Renault liveried machine through. I didn't quite catch that racing number, but it looks like he is also taking a bit of a slow lap at the moment. Provy sitting in 19th position. Provy with, again, no points on the board so far this season. Are we hoping to get his season up and running today? Here's right click. He sits in 24th position right now. As some grass being kicked up. Fortunately, there's no gravel too close to circuit around Motorsport like we had at Laguna Seca. By the end of that race, it was like cat litter everywhere on that circuit. Grass being kicked up, but no signs of gravel around the track. As Showtime has returned to P2. Showtime has come out of it today, putting himself up the order, which is lovely to see. Matt Malone returns to track. I think this is the latest. Oh, this driver behind him just flies straight off. I do think this is the latest that Matt Malone has actually come out onto a qualifying lap in this series. The number 7 machine. He's just ran off track to allow drivers past. He's going to probably try and slow down, look for an opening here. He sits 6/10 off of Matty Gwill in pole position. I think 6/10 might be a bit hard to find. Probably not too hard to find. A couple of tenths to move himself into top 5 though. Showtime, I didn't even notice, is just 9 thousandths of a second off of Matty Gwill. So Matty Gwill really is not safe out there at the moment. And it looks like we are going to get a third new pole sitter in 3 races. That was a little bit of coming off the throttle. A very wide line from Matt Malone in turn 1. Doesn't look like he set himself up perfectly for turn 2, but it's going to be interesting to see if he's up or down. I think he is definitely down. This is a really slow start to the lap for Malone, which is a shame. But what about Showtime, who is almost directly behind on track, exiting turn 3 there. He sits in second, just 9 thousandths of a second behind Matty Gwill. Can he find that 9 thousandths of a second is going to be the question. Getting through 5B into 5C. Is he going to stick it tight to the left? He is, and then he plants it in the middle, trying to get the toe from the driver ahead. Extra Pickles moves into 4th position ahead of Mecharm. That knocks Aula Tufu, championship contender, down to P12 right now. Slugger, tied in P2 in the championship with Aula Tufu, is in P6 right now. And Matt Malone, leading the championship, is P9. It's not great for those at the top of the standings right now. Matty Gwill did improve his lap though, and has gone a 1:12.640. It looks like that was an invalid lap for Showtime last lap, and that is certainly an invalid lap as he runs off, and that was going to be his last opportunity. He backs out, and Showtime is not going to be able to put it on pole. Mecharm still out at the moment, hoping to improve on his time. Directly behind him, here is Matt Malone. A 15.8 last lap was a slow lap indeed for the namesake, the organiser of the league, Matt Malone, the championship leader. P9 right now, 0.8 of a second of your pole man, Matty Gwill. And it looks like we are going to have 3 different pole sitters in the first 3 races. Will we have 3 different winners? There is no Richard Dempsey today. So if Matt Malone does not find a way up the order to win this race, we will not only have 3 different pole sitters, we will have 3 different winners in the first 3 races. Matt Malone comes through turn at number 10 to cross the line. Is it going to be an improvement? It's a 13.9. It's not an improvement, but it is an improvement for the man directly behind him on the racing track. Slugger moves in to P4. Showtime has backed out. Extra Pickles looks like he is still going on his lap, but he does have a driver on his inside. He is definitely running slower there, as it looks like most drivers now have returned to pit lane. The session has come to a close, but the timer for the finishing is obviously 2 minutes, which means the drivers on a hot lap are going to be able to get themselves around to finish that, as Mintu, the white husky, moves himself into P12. And continuing just to look, Robert Goddard is still out on circuit at the moment. He's in P17, a 13.8. It's still amazing, a 1:12.640 for Matty Gwill, and yet it's still only a second difference between 1st to 12th position. That's how incredibly fast this field can be, and I think it's going to be a very interesting race. I think we are going to see a lot of incidents for sure, but it's going to be interesting as Sean Sims has moved into P7 out of nowhere. I haven't even seen Sims in the top 20 throughout this qualifying. Obviously, I'm looking at a very long timing list, so I might have just missed it, but That was a very good lap right at the end there for Sean Sims. But it is this man, Matty Gwill, who crosses the line once again. But he is at the top of the standings. He has got our pole position for round number 3 here at Motorsport as qualifying comes to a close. What an absolutely fantastic session that was. And now it's time for the 20-minute race. So let's see where they all start. Matty Gwill will start on pole position. Showtime behind in P2. Checkers is going to start in P3, followed behind by Slugger. P5 is for Extra Pickles. Mecharm in 6th, followed by Sean Sims and Nick Bowen. I'm going to try and get through these nice and quickly because we only have a minute and a half until the race is due to start. So Drux TV in 9th, followed by Matt Malone. Turbo Snail in 11th position, followed by Tony Jabroni. Then it's Mintu the White Husky in 13th, followed by Outlet Tufu, Iron Tequila in 15th, and Jeff Snackle behind. Robert Goddard, Fishy, the Hernstone probably round out the top 20, and I'm going to rush through the rest of the field. So following behind, it's Wyatt Way, Totally Racing, Powski, Stingray Graham, Brendan Lobb, Casket Man, Scrubbertron, Right Click, Brandon Wimler, Crisps, and Olsen X in 31st position. They are all the time drivers who put in a lap time. It looks like we do have a few more. Greg Fronick is going to be behind, followed by Dodo Deadman, Mr. Anders, and Neil Trotter. They're lined up. They are ready for 20 minutes of racing. Expected to be around 17 laps here at Motorsport. Expected to be absolutely crazy. The lights are green and we are away here at Motorsport for round number 3. And Showtime has had a very slow start in comparison to Matty Gwill, who has just pulled away nice and easy off of the line. His cars trying to settle themselves down. It looks like a driver has gone off. It looks like Fonek is going a little bit slowly at the background. But for the most part, they settle down. Checkers has moved into P2. Showdown down to P3. As they come up towards turn number 5, look at the lead that Matty Gwill has. Checkers holds on. Showtime is stuck on the outside as Slugger on the inside of 5B. Through goes Slugger into P number 3, Turbo Snail and Jeff Snackle side by side, but Snackle holds on for P12. Showtime here sitting down in P4 now. Not a great first lap. Not the lap that he would have wanted to see as we go into turn number 8. Into the S's. Matty Gwill leads the opening lap of the race. Checkers will be in second and Slugger in third. Great news for Slugger, looking to take the lead in the championship. They go on to lap number 2 as they cross the line. Some side-by-side battles in the background. This is the Hernster side-by-side there with Aula Tufu. The Tufu falls down to P16. This is another championship contender tied with Slugger in the points. He's not doing well as we saw Wyatt Way move up the inside of Proppy there. A great move to the inside. A swap up front. Mecharm has got past Drux TV for P number 7. As we continue through, this has been an absolutely fantastic start. Some lockups though, drivers going slightly wide. It looks like Extra Pickles is going to hold on to Sean Sims. Sims so under attack by Mecharm. Mecharm on the right hand side of the track, and that looks like Drux TV can see this fight so well in front of him. We're going to ride on board with Drux TV. He can see this 4-car fight going on ahead of him. He's going to settle down behind though as they continue through into turn number 10 and across the line. This is a huge battle going on right now, and it leads up to Showtime in P4. That is where this train goes all the way to, and it looked like that was Extra Pickles off the circuit ever so slightly on the exit of turn 1. That's compromised his line into turn 2, and a huge crash, and that's Matt Malone involved in that as well. Oh, huge accident there. Let's have a watch. It looked like car in front of him on the curb, into the air, and a big hit with the wall for both of those drivers. A real shame, as they are both going to be into pit lane for this race. There is a free reset though, so both drivers will be able to return to the track. This is fantastic news for this man here, Slugger. He's in P3. His lead, the championship lead, is in pit lane, and his competitor of Aula Tufu is down in P14. There's Iron Tequila with a black flag, so I think that he was the driver getting involved in that accident before. Look at this train of drivers heading through turn 10. This is Meckham. He's 7th. He's quite close to the front of it. Matty Will has called a second gap over Checkers, but Slugger is not allowing Checkers to pull away at all. Drux TV, it looks like, is down pit lane, so whatever issues happened, he was involved. Howski here making a move. He's up to 18th position. Mr. Anders really making a move at the back of the field. He's up to 27th. Hopefully he'll have no technical issues today, as Matt Malone has received the meatball flag, which is a real shame that he's gone straight back off the circuit. Yep, he came out and he's gone back off the circuit. Aula Tufu here in P13, right behind Turbo Snail. Right ahead of Minty the White Husky, because he's just moved into P13. He's a second behind Turbo Snail. Aula Tufu now needs to turn this race into a recovery drive, move himself further up the order is what he's going to need. Now that I think about it, Matt Malone's already used one free reset, which means he's not going to get another free reset. He could be racing with damage at the back of the field. Slugger chasing down Checkers for P number 2, but it is this fight right here that is the big one. It is the train of drivers from Showtime in 4th position, all the way down to Tony Jabroni in 10th position. Here is Jabroni, and actually we're going to have a look at what this train looks like from onboard Tony Jabroni. That was a little bit of a lock-up from Nick Bowen just ahead. Nick Bowen is going to want a good race as well. He's 4th in championship. He could get past Matt Malone and Aula Tufu in this race and get himself into P number 2. The drivers ahead, pulling ahead just a little bit now. That gap separating as Meckham is right behind Extra Pickles. He touches the grass, but he holds on through turn number 8. Can't place his car up the inside of turn 9. But now Extra Pickles knows that Meckham is there. He wants this. Riding on board with Extra Pickles, we can see, oh, that's a wobble! That is a wobble. That is going to be a bad exit from turn number 1 for Extra Pickles. Meckham on the outside into turn 2. It's not the optimal racing line, and it could put him under attack here from Nick Bowen. Nick Bowen ties up the inside, has to back out of it. It's going to make him a little bit slow, very possibly, but Meckham holds on to 6. As behind him, here goes Jess Sneckle. Jess Sneckle in the number 16 machine. Couldn't quite make anything there to get past the 14 of Nick Bowen. Brandon Wimler and Iron Tequila with black flags. With meatball flags, having some accidents there. But right now, it looks like we could have a lead for the fight. For the lead fight. That's what I'm trying to say. We're going to have a fight for the lead very, very soon, because the top 3 drivers all within 1.5 seconds of each other. But here comes Tony Jabroni is at the inside of Turbo Snail. Is there going to be contact? They run side by side into turn number 9 and into turn 10. There is contact, and Tony Jabroni goes around and he comes on. So a big hit there, and another huge whack as 4 cars all fall down the order. as Tony Gibboni returns to pit lane as Turbo Snail and the Hernster run side by side. They briefly exchange position, but the Hernster moves back through. Here comes Meckham. He's in P6 and get past. Extra Pickles ahead in P5. Can he make a move? He has been following for a little bit of time now, but there is a move up front. Checkers has gone around. Checkers is down the order, putting Slugger in P2 and perfect position for the championship lead. What has happened here to Checkers into 5B? He loses the rear end and he gets it off the circuit as quick as he can. Checkers though now under attack. He's lost the position to Extra Pickles. He's almost lost the position to Meckham, but Meckham has been trying so hard to get Extra Pickles, and now Checkers is in between them. He is going to be seething after that. Matty Quill now 3 seconds clear in the lead of the race following that spin that slowed Slugger down as well. Showtime is now in third position and in a great position in this race, clear as well as Checkers moves past Extra Pickles for P4. That's put Extra Pickles off the racing line and around the outside. It looked like he held it. Brilliant contact behind Meckham. Oh, more contact, and that's the driver off into the grass. That's Nick Bowen, and a big spin behind. As that will be, I'm trying to figure out, it looks like that was possibly a back marker getting involved with all of that contact. Nick Bowen recovers the P11, but Extra Pickles in all of this is still ahead of Meckham. How? How is he still ahead of Meckham? I just don't know. As the race continues on for about 3 drivers, because so many of them have been involved in issues. This is now once again the fight for P4, leading, starting with Checkers, running all the way down to Mintu the White Husky. That's P4 to P12. This train, I'm going to call it, is as Greg Fonnett goes off the track. He is a lap down ahead of these drivers, as Meckham also slightly off track there, and it looks like it could be a move being made and nothing going. Meckham has tried for so long to get past Extra Pickles. Will he be able to this time? As Mr. Anders Bobby and Iron Tequila all head down into pit lane. There's so much going on with drivers falling out of points. But Matty Quill is the driver who is dominating this race out front, 3.5 seconds clear of our potential championship leader, Slugger, in P2. Meckham 0.2 of a second behind Extra Pickles. This has been the closest fight all race long. It continues to be an extremely close fight between the two of them as Meckham follows on behind. We get on to lap 10, a potential to be another 8 laps or so, I would say, in this race. As there has been another incident, it looks like possibly for Brandon Wimler going off the track. As Pawski is also in pit lane, so some more issues going on. Now Pawski's P20, so drivers on the left-hand side in our leaderboard now facing issues. That's how many cars are falling victim here, as it looks like Matt Malone has gone off the track again. It looks like there has been an issue for him. Let's have a watch of Matt Malone. What has happened to him? He's all the way down in 27th position. He's visited pit lane a number of times. He has received a meatball flag. What's happened? He's gone wide at turn number 3, Quebec corner, and a big hit on the exit there. As we watch back, this is a battle. Turbo Snail leading a train of drivers. It's Nick Bowen behind, followed by Minty the White Husky, Stingray Graham, Aula Tufu, and Sean Sims. But in all of these issues, This man here, Aulatufu, tied in P2 in the championship, has somehow not moved himself up the order. Is that Aulatufu? It is without any aero. I'm gonna say, I think I know why Aulatufu has not found his way up the order. He has hit the wall at some point, and he has gone off the track and has got major damage. Is that possible? There's no black and orange flag for him, fortunately for him. But this is Mecharm. Again, he's still behind Extra Pickles, but now Jeff Schnackle is behind and chasing down. We ride on board with Jeff Schnackle. He looks to the inside of Mecharm. They are back markers ahead. They are drivers who have had issues in this race and fallen down. Are they going to make it easy for our drivers here? That's Aulatufu, I think. Is that how far we have fallen in this race? No, that can't be. Looking at our timings on the left. Just another car without a front to his machine. Jeff Schnackle continues P7 then behind Mecharm. Mecharm must be getting so frustrated right now behind Extra Pickles, who is driving a hell of a defence in P number 5. No position changes in terms of gaining or losing from the start of this race, because Extra Pickles started 5th, Mecharm started 6th, but he is under attack now. Jeff Schnackle all over his rear. The back markers ahead could play into this fight. Is Schnackle going to be able to make his way past Mecharm? Mecharm moves to the right-hand side, but he stays where he is. Extra Pickles still ahead then, followed by Mecharm, followed by Jeff Schnackle. And as you can see there, Mecharm has lost a couple of positions in this race down to 8th, but he started on 6th. He remains in 6th. It's the highest he has been all race long. But he wants to go higher. He wants to get Extra Pickles, and it looks like he might do that. Less than a tenth between them. He moves to the left, a little bit of a wobble on the rear end. Look how close they are. Mecharm just a tenth of a second behind Extra Pickles. Palski is cleared. No, Mecharm's off! In all of that, Mecharm, he was following Extra Pickles for so long. Let's have a watch there. A wobble going into turn 3. He's right behind. He gets so close and he just loses grip on the rear end. The driver in front of him just getting rid of that downforce on the rear end of the car, as Checkers has recovered back to P3 past Showtime on lap 14. Let's have a quick look at how he managed to do that. Checkers moves to the right hand side of Showtime. He's got the inside into turn number 8, later on the brakes, and it looked like Showtime almost just allowed him to take that move nice and easily. Extra Pickles has also lost out to Jeff Schnackle. So Mecharm followed Extra Pickles for so many laps and just couldn't do it. Biggest shaker and baker in the race, Stingray Graham, up to 8th position, started 24th position in this race. A massive gainer. The biggest loser in this race is Matt Malone. He started in 10th position. He's fallen down to 31st and out of this race. There's an issue there for Checkers once more. Checkers had just returned to P3 and it is turn 5 again. Tried to get himself spun for a full 360, but a little bit earlier, this time in turn 5. But Checkers has gone around twice now in that double apex right-hander. He must be so frustrated with himself. He recovered back to P3 and he's back down to P6. And annoyingly for him, he is 6th in the championship. He was comfortably ahead of Nick Bowen, P4 in the championship. He could have moved ahead in the championship standings, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case now. Matty Quill has gained a gap of almost 4 seconds as we head into the final 2 minutes. But this is the fight we are looking at. It is the fight for P6, led by Checkers. Following him is Nick Bowen, then it's Stingray Graham, and then it's Turbo Snail. 4 cars battling for P6. It's the highest battle, it's the most cars in the battle, as Aulatufu has made his way into P11. It looks like Mecharm has gone off, and some heavy damage for Mecharm. What's happened here? The same corner he went on before. He's lost the position to Aulatufu. Aulatufu wobbles. Mecharm gets scared, and he slams it into the wall. That is a real shame for Mecharm, as Showtime holds on to 3rd position. He has had a very good race there. Nick Bowen moves to the right hand side. Can he get the inside of Checkers? Checkers was slightly wide out of turn 10 through turn 1. Bowen on the inside, Checkers on the outside. They're still side by side. They're going to swap over though. It's going to give Checkers the inside into turn 2. Bowen backs out. He gets back onto the racing line to try and give himself the best run here. Less than a minute on the clock. It looks like we are going to get one more lap after this race. As a round goes Checkers, and a huge accident there. The number of cars involved, including his championship contender Nick Bowen. Nick Bowen pulls over, he's out. He is out. Checkers, it looks like, is out as well. Checkers is out. The top of the leaderboard is in absolute shambles. Absolute shambles. Stingray Graham in 6th, Turbo Snail in 7th, Sean Sims in 8th, Aulatufu in 9th, Robert Goddard in P10. That is an absolute major shake-up in the standings. I can't wait to see what the standings are going to be like. Through and across the line onto the final lap goes this fight for P6, led by Graham, but it is Sims looking up the inside of Turbo Snail. He can't quite make it. He's going to sit back behind in P8. But it's this man here that started this race on pole position, making him the 3rd different pole sitter in the first 3 races of the league. He is going to come to win it, to be the 3rd different race winner in the 3 opening races of the league. Back to the fight though of P6, Stingray Graham in 6th, followed by Turbo Snail and Sean Sims. That is going to be a drag race towards the line, but here comes Matty Gwill through the final corner, from pole to the win for the 2nd week in a row, but this time it's by Matty Gwill who takes the win. Slugger takes P2, followed behind by Showtime. Stingray Graham is overtaken by Turbo Snail into P8, which means that he's going to finish in 7th, Turbo Snail in 6th, Sean Sims behind in 8th. Aulatufu is going to cross the line in P9 ahead of Robert Goddard. Not what he wanted when his championship rival Slugger sits in P2. Still a few fights heading out on track as they're all coming around to finish. Fishy comes in 12th. The Hernster 14th as Brendan Lobb crosses the line now in 15th. Totally Racing comes up to turn number 8. He's in 16th position. It is only the top 17 drivers on the lead lap. Totally Racing crosses the line to finish 16th, and Drux TV will be the final lead lap finisher in P17. What a race that was, and I can finally breathe. An excellent bit of racing from Matty Gwill. Slugger moving himself up to 2nd from a 4th position start, but do not forget about some really big movers. Jeff Sneckle finished P4, up 12 positions. Stingray Graham finished 7th, up 17 positions. Right Click finished 11th, up 17 positions. Casket Man finished 13th, up 13 positions. A huge amount of moving there. Let's see how that race finished then. Matty Gwill took the win in the number 5 Radical after 18 laps of racing. Slugger crossed the line almost 6 seconds behind in P2. Showtime crosses the line in 3rd position and almost another, just over 4 seconds behind. 10 seconds behind your race leader. Jess Knackle crossed the line in 4th, followed by Extra Pickles, Turbo Snail, Stingray Graham and Sean Sims. They were 20 seconds off of Matty Gwill. That's how much he dominated here. Ran out your top 10. Aula Tufu was going to probably take 2nd in the championship. Slugger is going to take the lead in the championship for sure. Aula Tufu finished in 9th. Robert Goddard in 10th. Right Click gets his first points on the board of the season in P11. And Fishy crossed the line also for his first points of the season in 12th. If I'm not mistaken, it is top 15 that get the points. Casket Man finished in 13th position and the Hernster crossed the line in 14th. Brendan Lobb finished in 15th position, followed by Totally Racing and Drux TV in 17th. Rounding out your drivers that finished on your lead lap. A lap behind was Scrubbertron, Tony Jabroni, Chris, Mintu the White Husky and Provi. A real shame for Mintu the White Husky, who was running fairly up the order in that race. A lot of drivers, though, falling down the order with a mistake from either themselves or from other drivers. A lot of issues there. Checkers was the first driver 2 laps down after his spin that caused major damage to a lot of drivers, including 4th position in the championship heading into the race, Nick Bowen, and a driver that Checkers finished would have been wanting to get past 2 points behind in the championship, directly behind him in 5th. So no points for either of them, unfortunately, here at Motorsport. Brandon Wimler crossed the line in 26th position. It looks like Nick Bowen actually finished 24th position, looking there, 1 lap down. Interesting way of displaying the positions. But yep, Nick Bowen finished in 24th position, 1 lap down. I think Checkers must have finished 1 lap down as well. It showed 2 laps, but I think he was only 1 lap down. Brandon Wimler, 2 laps down then, followed by Mr. Anders, who looked like he didn't have technical issues today, just skill issues by the looks of it, for him falling down the order. Mecharm was up front fighting for so long, but issues towards the end knocked him down to 28th position, followed by Neil Trotter. Greg Gorilla Phonic in 29th, Powski in 30th, Matt Malone out of the race early in 31st position, and Wyatt Way crosses the line in 33rd position. That is because Iron Tequila finished in 32nd position. Interesting that that's not showing. Olsen X and Dodo Deadman either disqualified or out early on in this race in 34th and 35th position. That they're not showing up on my standings. But what an absolutely amazing race that was. Let's see if I can try and get the updated driver standings for you. That's something that I haven't incorporated into the overlay yet. However, I do believe after that race, we're going to have an updated season standings. No, we don't. Excellent. We have the season standings are for just this one race by the looks of it. Oh, it looks like because we have 2 drop weeks, the drop weeks have already been implemented. Interesting to know. Matty Gwill, with the drop weeks, because of his win here, goes to the top, tied with Richard Dempsey and Matt Malone, all with their wins. That's interesting. I forgot about the drop weeks. They're already being implemented into the league, which means with drop weeks included, Matty Gwill, Richard Dempsey and Matt Malone are tied first. Aula Tufu and Slugger are tied 4th. Interesting indeed. Anyway, that is the end of round 3 here of the Matt Malone Patron League. I hope you have enjoyed. If you haven't already done so, please do hit that follow button to be notified when I go live. And if you would like to support me and allow me to continue buying content so that I can broadcast this wonderful series, then please do consider subscribing. This video will be up on YouTube, uploaded hopefully before the end of the night.
alongside the other two races that are being put into a playlist as well. So you can watch all of the rounds of the Matt Malone Patreon League. But until next week, and until the Porsches at Road Atlanta, I hope you have a fantastic week. Goodbye.
Racing hearts under floodlit skies, rubber burning where glory lies, speeding into a new surprise. Every week it's a new disguise. Matt Malone with the flag held high, hot dog spirit cannot deny. Different tracks, a wild supply. Zoom in dreams, we chase or fly. Patreon League, we swerve, we glide. Every race, a world we ride. Different wheels, but the same mad side. Full throttle, we'll never hide. Beehive Bill brings the screen alive. Broadcasting vibes we can't contrive. Switching veins as engines strive. We'll keep it lit, we'll always thrive. New track bends, a shifting goal. Unknown roads that grip the soul. Through the turns we'll pay our toll. Matt Malone leads a roll call roll. Patreon League, we swerve, we glide. Every race, a world we ride. Different wheels, but the same mad side. Full throttle, we'll never hide. New track bends, a shifting goal. Unknown roads that grip the soul. Through the turns, we'll pay our toll. Mad